pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item is approval of the financial report.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilman Sherry, second by Councilman Manning to approve the financial report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Approval of the town, November 13th town board meeting.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilman Manning, second by Councilman Deason to approve the minutes of the November 13th town board meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll read the fire department report, it's pretty short. The Stafford Volunteer Fire Department answered 28 calls last month. In those calls were many EMS, MVAs, and 2 fire calls. The department members completed 46 hours of training last month. Included in that, we trained in childbirth, truck checks, and station maintenance. We worked on district familiarization, including a walkthrough at the Zen Center located off 7 Springs Road. Last month, we also completed our required yearly physical. Please stay safe. Tim Peckdall. Motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second? Oh, okay. Motion by Councilman Manning, second by Councilman Deason to approve the fire department report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Have the assessor's report. Any questions from the board? Or any questions from?
Well, there's a couple of highlight, probably should read out some of these.
Probably that first paragraph would be a really good one.
You want me to read out some of the hot points?
Go ahead.
November 14th, this is from Lori. I received our residential trend numbers. It appears that the homes are starting to taper off a tiny bit. Last year our trend was 5%. This year it's once again 5%, although these numbers are still indicating my assessments are low, yet again our equalization rate with decrease, there might be some light at the end of the tunnel. Took interest rates long enough. That's not on the report, but that's probably what's causing it. All exemption applications must be filed with the assessor by taxable status date March 1st, 2024. Enhanced star exemptions reminder, new applicants only. On the state's Office of Real Property website, you'll see that the maximum income for eligible enhanced star exemption for the 24-25 school year is $98,700. Residential property owners who are at least 65 by the end of 2024, born on or before December 31st, 1959, may qualify if spouses or siblings own property together, at least one of them is 65 and is a resident property owner. You may be eligible for your 2022 adjusted gross income. Line 11 on Form 1040 must be below the maximum income of 98.7. And the applicant, 98.7, the application with a copy of your 2022 income must be filed by March 1st, 2024. And then limited income senior exemption changes. As of the 2024 calendar year, there have been some changes to the limited income senior exemption income calculations. New York State has tried to restructure the income calculations to be more like STAR. High points are your New York State tax return is no longer required, just the federal tax return. However, if your full Social Security is not shown on the tax return, then your Social Security 1099 will be required. If you do not file a tax return, there will be a new income worksheet that needs to be filled out. There is a limitation on losses, 3,000 per Schedule C, D, E, and F. And then it gives instructions on how to fill out your Form 1040. Lori said her office will have modified hours for the Christmas holiday starting on December 19th. Tuesday, December 19th, 4:30 to 7. Wednesday, December 20th, 8 to 12. Thursday, December 21st, 8 to 12. Friday, December 22nd, 8 to 12. She's already more hours than, all right. Friday, 8 to 12, Tuesday closed, Wednesday closed, and then Thursday, 8 to 12. That's probably why. Have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Motion to approve that?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Deason, second by Councilman Panic. Any assessors report, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Chamber of Commerce, Warren Humphrey.
Hi, folks. I brought props. So I have a copy of our visitor guides. Do they have the forms I sent over? Yes, they do. Yep. So typically, traditionally, the town, if you turn to page 41, is the Stafford page. The town kicks in for this page in our annual travel guide. We produce 60,000 of these. They get distributed in all of the tourist attractions. They go into, we drop them into every home in Genesee County that gets a penny saver. And then they're also all up and down the New York State Thruway. So traditionally, Linda Call would go around and solicit businesses to help offset your costs. This year, Linda's unable to do that, and we can take that over for you. So if you want to move forward with continuing your page in the guide, I can solicit the businesses for you. We can have them submit payment right to you, and we can just keep it going as Linda had for all these years. Does anyone have questions on the travel guide? Are you all familiar with it relatively? Yeah. What I would recommend, in the past, Linda gave options for different levels of listing. I think she had a $100 and a $200 listing. I would recommend just doing one, keep it simple, make it $150. That's what the majority of the communities do, and it makes it a lot cleaner.
But you said you would be doing the soliciting
Yep.
rather than, all right,
Yeah.
good.
Linda did it for a lot of years, and she did a great job.
Do you know how much
How
you
much?
usually get from the businesses?
How
listed?
many listings do you end up with? I think she tried to completely cover the cost for the most part, so that's always our goal. Whether or not the businesses all come in is just dependent on their budgets, but
That's a lot of money to lay out for.
yeah,
for a
well,
page.
and you'll see, yeah, so the communities get a pretty significant discount for that full page, the municipalities, and prices have not gone up, so it will be exactly the same as last year. And if I can get all those businesses to come back in, it'll be
Be a
the
while.
same as last year, yeah. So usually what we'll do is we'll invoice the town, you guys pay the chamber, and then I think the way Linda had it was the businesses would send us the checks, but that seems redundant to me. I might as well just have them send them right to you folks. Depending, either way is fine with us. We can always cut you a check after the fact too. I think that's how we did it in the past.
That would be cleaner.
Is that cleaner for you? That's fine.
So the way I read that, you're asking for us to upfront the cost of $1,800.
Correct.
I think we carried that over in the budget, didn't we? What do we need for this? We need a motion, or what do we gotta have?
You know, do you have anything more than,
Unless you have more questions.
yeah, okay, no, have a motion to,
Motion to, again, support the Genesee County Chamber of Commerce and have a Stafford page.
I'll second that.
motion by Councilman Panic, second by Councilman Schrader to approve item number 6. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Great, thank you folks.
Thank you. John Sands.
I've got petitions from some more roads. They supposed to make a loop around my road, Caswell, that I handed in last month. That's Route 33. This is Griswold Road. This is Mill Road for water, and they also signed a petition for high-speed internet.
Okay, which is which, Aaron? This is, yeah,
Can you make sure it's marked internet?
yeah, this is the order.
No, I think I covered last month, we're still on track with the county for internet for Stafford. We're in phase 1. But it's always good to have people show their interest.
They did that while they were doing the water, so.
Ron, I can't remember, when was the target date for internet to be through?
They haven't given one. If you want a broad target date, 2025. They have not set, as of last month, and I haven't looked in this month for an update, they had not settled up with, on the contract with Spectrum. Other counties had. So, and their agreement is not very much different than what Genesee County's after. So, Matt said that he's optimistic they should settle up soon. Let's get past the first of the year. I'll give Matt another call early January and find out where we are.
I
Curiosity.
also asked if an engineer could be here from Chase Patterson
He's here.
about the water.
He's here. Curious on your, just a real curious question, unscientific, on your petition. Did more than 50% of the residents sign that on that petition?
Our whole road did.
Okay.
33, there might have been 5 or 6 people. We did this over the weekend and Friday. And some people I went back to twice, but They either weren't home or didn't answer the door. 5 or 6 on each road, except for ours, and everybody did ours.
And Bristol, we had 15 signed and 6 or 7 that were at home. So more, way more.
So we're
than
more
50%.
than, okay, just out of curiosity.
One of the things, when we were in the meeting last month, we covered a lot of the steps that you have to take to get water, and we said how dependent these water districts are on the grants. Good example, I think Water District 12 is 70% grant money, with the rural development and the state WIA grants covering most of it. One of the things, since Bethany's issues with water got quite a bit, what should I say, exasperated because of the drought, I looked back and did a little research on what they were up against, and you might want to look back at some of their history, because unfortunately one of the reasons why they're in they are where they are is because their incomes were too high for the rural development grant. And then they've applied for the WIA grants, and I know and you can only tell so much by going through their minutes, going through their documents. It looks like at the same time that we got a WIA grant for 12, they were turned down for a WIA grant. Now don't forget, the terrain is different there, and they're looking for probably, I would say at least a quarter of what they're doing is for infrastructure like water tank and pumping station. But when we described that a lot of these things got to fall in place in order to make these things affordable, this history gives you a little bit of background on it.
I'm a little confused though. Do the grants come from the state or the federal government or both?
Both.
So I called Holly's office and she didn't seem to know too much about it, except she helped Virgin, I know.
Yep.
USDA does.
Well, don't forget, that's why we hire Municipal Solutions to help us out, so that we don't have an oops on our part turn into somebody not getting a grant. But yeah, they're unless they get this special grant, their plan was to try to get a USDA loan and then get approval from the Controller's office, thank you, to have a pretty high, I think it's $1,600 payment per year for the actual capital part of it. So again, we do everything we can to get the money, but the amount of money is so large, it is grant dependent. It's just, and I just felt that when I described it last month, everybody thought, yeah, we've always gotten them, we'll get it. And I was surprised when I saw this, that yeah, there are times a grant isn't gotten. So I think every one of, Bob, you have the longest history. I think every one of our grants is, USDA grants have gone through, haven't they?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So I would take solace in that we have been successful, but
You can't do any of these without the grant.
yeah. Well, they're trying, but hopefully they'll get. I think they're applying through the federal government because of the current state of water over there for an emergency grant. So keep your fingers crossed that they get it.
Has anything been done with Stafford since our last meeting?
As far as
water, for water district in our area?
do we have? I don't see Eric here.
Right there.
All right, you're an Eric replacement then.
Yeah, Eric's replacement tonight.
All right, so you've gotten our information.
Yes, Eric and I,
Okay, excuse me, can you come over here so
Sure.
I can hear you better on this side?
And speak loudly.
yeah, bigger room. So we're working on a survey that was done for the town, that went townwide for all the residents that don't have water, to figure out where the areas are, who's still interested, and trying to piece those parts together.
What survey was that?
There was a water survey that was done earlier this year.
It was done on their
There was one
newsletter,
during the
Mel.
summer. A
Pardon?
lot
It
of
was,
people.
it came through
didn't
on the
fill it out.
newsletter.
So if somebody didn't get the newsletter,
Or
or
if
they
you
just
got-
threw it out, they wouldn't have
They
done the
wouldn't have
survey.
done the survey, that's correct.
They should have a special paper come through per household survey for water, so everybody gets it back in. That's what should be done. Because if you put it in a newsletter, people, I got the newsletter that goes in the recyclable bin, they aren't filling out the survey.
The only purpose of the newsletter survey is to see if there is enough interest so that when we have to hire somebody
I
to
understand that.
do
and
the
I agree
actual
with you.
survey,
And I agree with you on that, but if people don't fill the survey out, you're not gonna get that information back in, correct?
Well, we had
Yes.
50 people on a petitions that were interested in water from just a small area around here.
Right. So the
And they probably don't have questionnaires filled out, a lot of them.
Well, I went back after I got the petition last month, then in November, and I compared the list that you gave in November versus the survey results that we got earlier this year. And there was 3 or 4 parcels that were on your survey that didn't already answer on the survey. So most people had already responded on the survey. For the
Is there a
petition that
way
you
to get the
presented.
surveys to the people that are on our list that didn't hand the surveys in? Is there still a chance to get the surveys to them for more
pointless
information?
now.
There was an online survey, so I don't know if we still have it active, but we can look into that.
I'm curious, what happens to the petitions? Is that just for fun, or?
No, that's to show the interest because
Okay.
then we have to actually do the survey that says, that determines if you have 50%, that you can go with it.
Actually, it's 51%.
Well, I think-
51% of the assessed
We've got
value.
And then you have to do the income survey. And then you have to do the income survey. And we really have to be looking at what's feasible. Should we be looking at a small district and then the rest of the town? Should we include that small district in the town?
Right.
And then the final is, do we know if the counties decided about the additional water line coming from Monroe County? Because if that comes down 33 or comes down, I think Griswold, what they were looking at, that might cover some of the stuff, some of the ones we're looking for townwide. So there's 3 variables
Do you have
there.
any insight on that at all today?
So the county's project right now is not looking to cross the thruway to the north.
Of course. So they're gonna wanna take,
The south route, south of the thruway.
All right, so have they determined a road? Or are they not even?
There's a route, I don't have it on this map, but it would come over through,
north of 5 or south of 5?
north of 5.
North of 5, south of the thruway. So you're looking at Thwing, but Thwing ends
Or
at
Randall.
237, or
Yes.
Randall.
Most of it'll be on Randall.
All right,
Come
well,
across.
those are all, there's no water on Randall right now.
Correct.
So that would help on townwide,
It's all fine.
am I right?
Right. So there's different possibilities to come off of that route, but for right now, the county is not looking to come down 33.
All right.
Okay.
Now,
I'm sorry, what did he say?
he said, right now, the county is not looking to come down 33. They're looking to come down Randall instead.
The county wants to feed more water towards the city of Batavia to the west of the county. So they're looking to put a big line in from Monroe County Way. So we're obviously in the middle. So we're looking to see where the county is gonna put that main line so that we can feed off of that, to save money. And also to feed those people that don't have it. So,
And you got water on 33 coming out of Batavia, water on 33 going into Batavia, and we're right in the center, we have no water.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's where we're at. That's what I'm saying, that's where we're at. So
And
they're
you
not gonna
can't,
do
you can't
30.
tie into one of those lines?
That's what the study's for.
That's what the
Figure
study's
out
for.
where
Yeah.
the interest lies for people where the water is not right now. So if there's a lot of interest on Route 33 within the town, then the town would look at pursuing a district along 33.
They've also come down 237.
Correct,
33,
right, so,
which is real near us.
right, so that's part of what we're looking at from the previous results of the survey, is to see where the most concentrated interest is. Because if the people don't want it, they're not gonna pay for it. So if people, like what you have in the petition and what we have from the survey, if there's high levels of interest, it's gonna be more economical. It's gonna cost you less. It's not gonna be cheap, because nothing right now is as cheap as what it was 10 years ago. But, right, so it'll just depend on where the interest lies and the best connections to existing water.
How long does this take, the survey? What's the projected conclusion, timeline?
We're looking to have results, preliminary estimates pulled together in January. So hopefully report back either at the January board meeting, but more likely the February board meeting.
Is it true that if people that don't understand it and don't want it, will they still have to pay taxes for that water? Yeah. So I'm gonna pay taxes for Stafford that's south of the thruway, but yet I'm not gonna get it. That's ridiculous.
No, only if you're in the.
Only if the water line goes across the
Okay.
property.
Because I have a problem, okay? I have Elbrook Farms behind me and on the west side of me. For years, I've had problems of the runoff from the farmer's field into my well, which is in the front of my yard. All my life, since I've lived there, I've had to get bottled water for my kids to drink and for me to cook and everything else. It is so bad, and I had I tested and stuff. I need water. You should see my toilets. They're rust. I have to have my son come over with, what is it? Huh? Acid. So what would that do to the inside of my body or anybody else? And I've lived in Stafford for a long time. And I haven't got anything out of Stafford from living on that north side. And I'm asking for something now.
Where you live? What reservoir?
Briswell Road. And I'm right below the hill, okay? So everything gets run off into my front well. Come on now.
So you're between the railroad tracks and Caswell?
Yes, I'm,
Okay.
let's see, from the railroad tracks, I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, the apartments, and then I'm right below the hill.
Okay.
And I never got a survey to sign. Whether it was because my husband was so sick and he was dying, I don't know. But I need water, Stafford. I need good water. You know how much money I've been putting out for bottled water?
She's on the petition.
Yeah, I'm on it, all right.
I got a question.
Truthfully, without the federal government's help, as a town, there are not the resources to get the water.
You couldn't afford
Would
it.
it help to contact our representative after
You
the
couldn't afford it if we did it.
study's done?
Gotta have grant.
Penny or whoever it is now, who will be?
Probably when we submit our grants, that's not a bad
The
idea.
system that's going in now, that's 12, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Is it public knowledge on what their yearly is and how
Yeah.
many years it is?
yeah.
Yep.
What could you tell
It's
us?
gonna be, I think we're at 504, Kathy? 504.
504,
Annual fee, not
507.
including water, so your water's gonna put you.
Yeah, I know, usage is different.
Probably pretty
Yep.
close to 1,000, for the minimum, pretty close to 1,000, I think, for the year.
And that's what,
984, I think it was.
Somewhere in there.
that's what 70% grant, and then 30% of it
So
will be
984
financed.
is a year.
504 will go to your tax base. That's
Okay.
what you pay for the grants, or for the
Okay.
money you pay for the, it goes 34 years, I believe it is.
38.
38 years, and then you're gonna pay minimum water coverage will be about $400 and some dollars for the year.
Our assessment should be lower.
We learned last time that there's a feasibility study, and then there's a financial study, right? And then the grants.
Right.
I'm 1,000 feet away from water.
Who does the financial study?
I'm
The
1,000
financial
feet
study
away
is
from
done
water. I'm
through.
I'm not very
the
far
latest
from
survey,
the
or the
underpass.
latest census about financial. So that's, that determines how much money you're gonna get to the grant. You know, what you
They're all different, right?
Yes, everybody's different.
I have a question.
The financial stuff is based off of the census. Rural
Okay.
development just, as of October 1st, updated to the
2020.
2020 census.
Yes.
So we're still waiting to see how that will shake out. But we have the threshold numbers and we're looking at that as part of the survey results.
Do we know at what point the county has to make a decision on the extra line?
At this point, they're not coming down 33.
No, yes, you said that.
Time
But time for a line, whether it comes down 33 or,
So they got a time frame to put that on.
yeah, do you have the
Randall.
time frame when they need that line by? I mean, if it's 5 years out, then that's not something,
5-ish
Okay.
right now.
Okay.
all right. So then that really won't fall into our planning for whole town or these smaller districts.
Are you hooked up?
Not yet?
Not yet, but the line is there, right?
Yeah.
The pipes are in the ground. There is no water in the pipes yet
For 12.
for 12. They're working on the throughway crossing right now.
Mm.
Next is the CSX crossing, which CSX is still holding up the schedule as far as being able to do the work. Once the line is all connected, then they'll put water in it, start testing, and get ready for services.
I thought we were told all those were taken care of. The approvals, the CSX and the throughway.
The permit approvals are, but the construction scheduling of getting a flagger and construction monitoring is not. That is up to CSX at their pleasure. And right now, it's in their queue to be scheduled.
So we're not gonna get water this year. So it will not be, this is for the board, it will not be on my taxes, because it is.
For 2024.
For
It's gonna be on your 2024 taxes.
But, yes.
Yeah, but it's not on 2023 taxes.
No,
Right,
but come
you'll have water in
January.
2024. Right, so it'll be on your taxes for that.
The water line schedule for CSX is hopefully late this month or early January. So hopefully by the end of February, all the water mains will be tested and in service. It's all a function of getting those pipes drilled across. So for the majority of the year, you would have water service.
Who's the other question?
I have a question. So, my understanding on North Road, they put in a big pumping station right at the end of North and 19.
Yes.
My understanding was, you can correct me if I'm wrong, they were supposed to bring that across the thruway to help urge and to go up Griswold Road. Am I correct on my understanding?
There
That's why?
was one concept with that plan, yes.
Okay. If they can go across the thruway, would that pumping station be viable for like Griswold Road 33 to finish this area? Or do we still have to wait for that main line to come through on Randall Road as you project?
So right now, the concept to go north across the thruway and out to Griswold.
You said, I understand you said it's not gonna happen.
The county's moved past that. They're gonna build a new pump station at North Road that will be able to push 18 million gallons a day. Right now, North Road is pushing somewhere around 3 to 4. And then the line will go down Randall Road, more or less, to
So
get,
they're gonna double back and go south. But it would be easier to cross through.
across the thruway twice with 36-inch diameter pipe. That is an exponential cost.
Well, I understand that.
Whereas if they stay on the south side of the thruway, the end result is they have to get to the Temperance Hill tanks to feed water into the middle and then hopefully the western part of the county. And along the way, as much as they can, they will try to spur in
Our little areas.
the
Our little-
different areas to help the towns do break-off districts to further grow the town system.
Gloria, a couple of years ago, my husband and I, we knew the dog got sick, so we took the dog to the vet. The dog got E. coli. Then we noticed we had E. coli. And my husband farms, yes, but is the farming in the area, Mr. Zuber has moved into our neighborhood. I think it's CY Farms has moved into the neighborhood. And we have toy farms in our neighborhood too, so that, I'm like, Gloria, you know, we buy a bottle of water. We buy, you know, the jugs of water just to, you know, and that's why I was wondering if they had that pumping station there, what it was gonna cost for them to bring it that way, over the thruway, but the county said no. So obviously, if we wrote to the county and talked to our representatives to say, hey, look, this is what's going on in our neighborhoods. We are destitute, a lot of us are, because we don't know what the runoff is going to be for the year or whatever. So basically, maybe we should all get together as a group, go to Mr. Holland and say, hey, look, we need water. You need to get Genesee County going, so that way, instead of waiting 5 years, maybe we banded as a group and started hounding our representatives and saying, look, this is a no-win situation. We need water, let's, you know, let's go.
Right, so I think part of that is the surveys that are being passed around in the neighborhoods. In addition to the survey that the town's already done, that's gonna help town figure out where people want the water next. Then the town will ask us and Municipal Solutions to help apply for grants to get more districts going.
All right, we were talking to Eric, and basically what we wanted to do was look at this, what is the more viable option to go after. Is it do separate districts immediately and then try to get whole town based on perhaps what the county's going to do, or if we knew what the county was going to do we just go right for whole town? And we probably need some estimates on that. You know, is it doable?
Right.
What the cost would be, and then we can then find out, do we have to do the actual official surveys that give us our if we qualify for these grants, we could have a strategy then.
Correct.
All right, and that's what you guys are working on.
That's what we're working on, trying to
Alright.
figure out whether we just try to blanket the whole rest of the town, or if we pick off particular areas, smaller districts.
Do you have information in your newsletter or something that when you come up with a strategy and so we know? Or?
There'll be a meeting about it once we have a decision about how we're gonna be able to go. A lot of it's gonna hinge on, first of all, is interest, how we're gonna be able to do it. And then my personal feeling is probably try to do a whole town. Leroy's doing one now as an example, and it's gonna be about a $38 million project. But again, it all hinges on what we can do for grants and what's feasible and who's gonna get it, who's not gonna get it. There's feasibility for people all over the town, to be honest with you, that don't have it, that we've heard from that want it. So that's why we've talked about if we can get 50% of the people that are left or more, we could try a whole town if it was feasible. But again, we have to work into that to determine what's feasible, and then we have to apply for the grant. There's some work ahead of us, you have to do that, but I think we've discussed that now for about 6 months, is trying to get a feasibility to do a whole town. What's the rest of the town?
Do most of our grants come from the state or federal government?
They do both.
What's the majority come from?
The majority comes from the federal government. Yeah, and then the state. So.
Do we have to apply for one before the other? Or
No, you'll get a different decision from one at a different time from the other. But as a matter of fact, I think Bethany is still waiting for their WIA grant decision, correct? From the state. We got ours last year for District 12 on December 6th, I think is when we got it. And they haven't got a decision yet on theirs. They're waiting for some additional USDA money also. I think they applied for, because of the drought, I think, because of the drought. So that's all into play at all the time. So you don't get it at the same time. In all honesty, it's the way government works. It's a giant ship watching it turn. And we're in the way. So when we get it, we get it. But we'll apply, and we'll see where it goes.
Now, when will you apply?
As soon as we get a determination what we're going to do. If it's going to be whole town, or just we take sections of town that we can do. If it isn't feasible to do the whole town, and we don't think we're going to get it, we may apply for the whole town and get shot down. And then it starts the process all over again.
But we have to wait for his answer then.
Right. We make a determination of the town on what makes sense. Who wants it, who doesn't want it. Does 50% want it from the rest of the town that doesn't have it? And if it is, my feeling is try a whole town, try to do it. That's what most of the towns have been doing here lately, is trying to finish off for everybody. That way we're not piecemealing. You get it, they don't get it. They get it, you don't get it.
Well, it
That way
seems to
we
me
finish
it would cost more if you piecemeal it than try to do the whole thing.
Exactly, that's what we're trying to do. If the grant is feasible and we can get it, let's get it now. Because 3 years down the road, the fiscal responsibility of the state of New York isn't that great. We may not get a WIA grant. And if we don't get the WIA grant, honestly, we can't do it. We'll be broke.
But don't, yes, there is the logic that it seems more logical to do whole town rather than piecemeal.
But it may not work out.
If you go back 7 years ago, they wouldn't fund whole towns.
But they
It
seem
was
to be.
above the limit.
Right.
Then they told us, we'll do whole town, but if you're already doing piecemeal, you gotta continue piecemeal. And now finally, they have said, you can do whole town after you've done piecemeal.
You finish off and get the town done.
Right.
And get the town done.
Our next district would be the rest of the town will be done.
A good example is my road. I think my wife and I are the oldest ones on the road. It's turned over. So now you've got, from one end to the other, you have young couples both working. And that, if you just chose a district that said Thwing Road, we would never get any money.
Because you don't have that many people, or?
Because our incomes would be too high.
So it would help us, the income level is going to determine how much the cost is. And if the cost is too much because of income, the controller says, I think right now is $1,045 a year, I think is the last I knew. So if you're over that, controller will say, no, you can't charge, because it's too much money. As a matter of fact, as an example, I think Gary Ann tried it 4 or 5 years ago, and it was going to be in the $1,500 or $1,600 range. And
Per household then?
Yeah, and that controller said absolutely not, too much money. So, as a matter of fact, Ron just mentioned it, if they get that loan and they don't get any grants, let's say in Bethany, they'd be paying almost $1,600 per household. Again, you have to get away
But I'd
from.
rather pay $1,600 and have no water.
I don't
Yes.
disagree with you, I'm with
Nobody
you on that,
disagrees.
but these are some of the factors that come into play when you're doing it, that's all we're saying. Is that that's another step, is if it goes over that certain level, it's another step you have to go to the controller. So it takes time for that, so,
Is 12 being fed back then from Batavia all the way?
yes, it's coming off of,
How's that getting fed back to Pro Road and stuff? Where's the water coming from?
It's gonna have to come off of 33 and go north.
Oh, I thought you said it wasn't going up 33.
Well, there's a short section of 33 where District 1 ends. It's maybe 1,000 feet from where it ends to Pearl Extension. And then it's gonna go up Pearl Extension, across the thruway and go further north.
So it comes out of Batavia?
The Monroe County Water Authority has a line that goes up Seven Springs Road, and they have the line on the east side of the road. There's a meter vault that goes to the west that feeds Batavia,
Oh, okay.
and that goes further north, on Seven Springs Town Line Road, towards GCC. But from 33 in Seven Springs coming east is Monroe County Water Authority water, and that's Stafford Water District 1.
Okay. I don't think many people know that.
But Monroe County Water Authority explicitly said that there will be no town of Batavia water coming into District 12.
And they're not gonna tie into it where it ended up there either?
It is going to get tied in. It's
Okay.
going to be a third feed from Monroe County Water Authority to the central section of Genesee County,
Okay.
which is one of the things that's going to come up in the District 12 discussion, but
Just was curious.
sure.
I don't think people know where it's coming from, where it's going.
So, to sum up where we are, as far as whole town versus some of these petitioned water districts, we should know by the February meeting what our strategy will be.
So we're gonna be all welcome back in February meeting and have an idea of what's going on.
Yes.
better plan.
Can we go back to, can John and Dora go back to the people who, they could not get a hold, and let's say that we get them to sign up, can they
Great.
bring that
Yeah,
to
absolutely great.
before the February meeting?
Absolutely.
Don't wait for the meeting, just turn it in to
Okay,
the office here and we'll get it off to our engineers.
got it. Thank you very much.
But again, I can't emphasize more, there's a strategy to getting these in.
Okay, question. So, I know on Sweetland Road that there's well over 50% interested in water, but only 2 surveys were handed back in, and most of the other residents didn't even know there was a survey, so does that take us out of it?
No, if we do a
No.
whole town, that's
No,
No, if we do a whole town, I
Well, we
mean,
need 50%, right?
if we,
50% of who's left. It doesn't matter, even not touch your town.
How many-
Once we get 51%, you
How
can
many
stop the
units,
survey.
how many units are left in the town?
That I'm not.
I asked the question last month too, and there's no answer.
I'm not exactly sure, but once you get to the, whatever unit count is left, once you get that 51%, you're in.
the main reason for the online survey
Just get in.
is to give us a good idea that if we sink everybody's tax money into, because when you start the district, the money's gotta come from the town.
We pay for it.
No, I understand
Yeah.
that, Ron, but still, if you're basing that decision on that survey that people didn't even know they had, how is that right or fair? If it's
It's
being
not going to be
based on that.
completely based off
It's
that
not
survey.
based on
That
it,
was
no.
just to get,
No,
It's just interest.
throw a dart
This
at
is
the
developing
dartboard.
it.
Where do we start? Where do we look? So now that we have that, now we're getting petitions from different people on different roads that are saying, hey, we are interested, very interested. So that helps the focus a little more. So if you have neighbors that didn't participate with the survey, I mean,
petition.
this is not a very complicated petition. It's
No, I
just signing
understand
your
that.
name and where you are and that you're interested in water. Take it to your neighbors.
Yep.
And then it's another
See, I don't
dart on the
work for District
dartboard
12.
to help focus.
I think there's 9 units on here.
I think there's 9 or 10.
9.
Well, it's, at some point, we have to do the actual yes or no survey with income, right?
Right.
We do an income survey, don't we?
It comes off of, no, it'll come off, USDA will do it off
You don't
the,
have to do anything.
You don't have to, I mean, if you're not under the poverty level, you're gonna wanna do one to try and get the poverty.
Yes.
You get lower interest rates, bigger
We,
grants.
we did one. We had a
Well, I believe we
survey.
did do one, yeah, GENESEE probably did that one, they were also, 12 got the poverty rates.
Yeah, no, I remember we hired Jay to do it.
Yeah.
Right, so it's not a requirement to do the income survey, but if you know that you have a high probability of getting the poverty level funding plateau,
it's worth
then you
It's
do it.
worth it.
If you don't think you can get there because you have a lot of people making well over the median household level, you just run with what the census data says.
Right.
All right. When will we have the census data from?
So the census data has been published, that was part of that October 1st push by USDA with their new funding formulas. So we
Alright.
have those numbers, we can look and see where it falls in relation to the grants and the fund, interest rates.
And we'll know that in February.
Yes,
And if we're above it, we might need to do what we did on 12.
correct.
All right.
The thing that amazed me is when I did our road, I knew a lot of people had bad water. But when I did 33, I found out theirs is worse or the same or worse. There was just nobody connecting them all together.
Yet when you go on my road, a lot of our wells, I use mine, I don't have a softener. It's a little bit hard, but I have no issues with water, no issues with supply.
You're one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, yeah, 'cause we're on the other side of the fault line.
So when they did Byron, when Byron finally got water down to the side, it backed up, so everybody in our neighborhood, I know Doherty's and stuff like that, have complained. Nancy says, I've got sulfur now, I've got hard water. It's like Byron has now transferred its problems now up to Grizzle Road and that area, our area, and the north end of town. Because they're not using the water out of the streams and stuff like that. So now it's backing up.
I'm not a hydrologist,
Yeah,
so
but that's,
I can't comment on that.
Anything more, Water District 12?
All right, let's,
So for Water District 12,
before we leave, John,
Yes.
could we just sum up, what will we know in February? We'll know at what level the USDA is giving grants, and we'll know how Stafford qualifies, right?
yes,
We'll have a strategy for, should we go with whole town or smaller districts?
correct.
You might get smaller districts sooner than you will trying to go.
I was just gonna ask, would it take longer to get the whole town?
Yeah, because
Authorized
you're
and
asking for a lot more
going on
money.
it?
You're asking for a lot more money, but there are advantages and disadvantages of both. We looked at kind of both of them. The disadvantage is, again, the biggest disadvantage is you're gonna get it, your neighbor's not. You may be cut off and the next door neighbor doesn't get it because they don't go further. If we did a whole town, we're gonna get 99% of the people. I'm sure there's gonna be one or two. I know we're always gonna miss a few people.
Does that take longer than to go through?
Depends on what your costs are. If you have to go through the comptroller, you're waiting on 9 months to a year for approval.
Well, they told us the last meeting it'd take us 4 to 5 years yet.
Well, maybe, but,
It's quick, took us 8.
how long, Matt, how long did it take Leroy to get that whole district? They're on their 3rd year with that now, I think?
Leroy, I'm not sure. I think we're looking at
I was gonna say, I think Leroy's doing that whole district. I think they're on their 3rd or 4th year, into the 4th year before they probably start construction. If they get the weavers, I think they did, so, you aware of that at all? I think they got the weaver.
Well, from the time they started, Bethany's in their 10th year, so.
I think they're in their 4th year on that. 4th year before they do it.
Because they've gone through different iterations, they've
Right.
applied to different funding agencies.
Right.
Now, did Virgin do a whole town? Because I know that they just got, a lot of them just got water.
I don't know what Virgin's plan is, there's separate plans for Byron and Virgin, and we don't work with those towns, so I don't know what their process was. But I know they did large areas to try and capitalize on getting the most grant, the most people involved. But it's,
12, going back to water 12. Now, you haven't gone under the railroad yet.
correct.
Or the thruway.
The thruway, we've made it underneath the travel lanes so far, and we're 7 feet north of the travel lane, and they're getting some equipment fixed so they can continue on.
So then you'll hook up to water 1.
Right, the connection's already been made to water 1, and the pipe is continuous to just short of the south side of CSX crossing. So we have to wait for CSX to provide a flagger, and then we'll be able to bore underneath CSX. And that is still to be scheduled.
Where they going to go on the road under the bridge or?
No, it'll be, I think it's roughly 40 feet from the center of the road to the southwest, where the water pipe will get bored underneath. But once all the crossings are done, then Sergi will start filling the pipes with water, do the pressure testing, disinfection, health samples, and then we'll be able to start doing water services to residents.
And your schedule on that is?
Right now, it looks like the schedule will probably be best case end of February, possibly early March.
You're going to water up at that time?
No, to have services.
To have services?
If we can get CSX to provide a flagger still this month, the hope would be that early January we'll start doing pressure testing and health sampling. And the Sergi would like to do it segmentally. As soon as one gets water, they'll chlorinate the one behind it and just continue to move that up towards the north end of town to get that resolved. So that as they progress, we can get temporary approvals and start hooking residents up, or allowing them to hook up. And then once it's all done and in service, one final approval and be done.
When do you anticipate that to be?
Completion of services is probably, I'll say, end of March, maybe into April. It all depends on the weather and approvals from the agencies.
No, that's good.
I got a quick question out of curiosity. What's the average cost per foot for water line?
Right now?
Yeah.
Somewhere around $100 to $120 a foot.
Per foot?
Per foot, but it depends on whether you're doing ductile iron or PVC. And right now, COVID is still playing a factor with supply chains, so the prices are higher. Because Water District 12, the capital cost ended up being somewhere around, I think it was $4 million?
4.1.
4.47 million.
Yeah.
Well, 12
So $4.4 million for the total capital cost. And it's somewhere around 26,000 feet.
that's all PVC pipe, right?
The majority is PVC. The creek crossings, the road crossings are HDPE, poly, and both of the thruway and the CSX crossing are ductile iron and steel casing pipe. That was a requirement of the thruway and of CSX.
A lot of the dates we've been batting around is best estimate based on where they're working now. What is their contractual obligation for completion? Because we did ask for an update, and it looks like the substantial completion is due August 5th of '24.
Correct.
So they would still be within contract if things lag behind.
Correct.
All right, just to make sure they're not in trouble until basically the September timeframe.
Correct.
All right.
Anything further on questions on item number 8?
So there was the engineering amendment to cover for District 12. This is to cover the additional vault design work, some additional construction-related time, and assistance with obtaining the WIA grant.
So you want me to sign these here?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So you're talking more money, is that gonna affect our bottom line?
No,
No, it's
it will not
releasing
affect the
the
bottom
money.
line, at least taking, there was $256,000 in the contingency. So it's already factored into the $4.4 million. It's just moving it from the contingency to the engineering and also moving some up to pay for the vault at Fox Road. Because if you don't use the grant money, rural development will happily take it back.
You don't use it, you lose it.
Yes.
That's the name of it.
What was our slush fund on that? The amount?
Contingency,
Yeah, they had extra.
$156,000. I believe that we gotta do a resolution. I do believe. To approve the additional cost. I'm not trying to. Approving the additional engineering expense.
I'm sorry, what was your name? You were Clark Patterson, right?
CPO, yes. Jeremy Delizer.
Okay. So, that's what, 325, 280, 400. Okay.
Here she comes.
just do them all. So which one?
This is information that's pretty new. It's in the report.
Yep. Over some.
This is not brand new information, they have some report.
So 68,000. Alright, so I make a motion to pay the additional expenses of $68,400 for Water District 12.
Second.
Roll call vote. Councilman Finn,
Yes.
Councilman Sharif,
Yes.
Councilman Deason,
Yes.
Supervisor Clement. And I'll send it to you. Okay. Thank you.
And I should be up for what I have for District 12.
Excuse me, Jeremy.
Water
I
District.
mean, in the February meeting, you should know what the county's decision is by that time also. Yeah. But how long, when are they projected, that's what we're wondering. When are they projected to start? Because that,
Resolution 60.
did you find out first by the next meeting?
I won't be able to, it's up to the county water authority. But the plan right now is that within the next 5 years, that project will be moving forward.
Now, is the need for that line, is it all just increased volume, or is Batavia no longer putting out as much water from their plant, or?
So this is part of the county's Phase 3 water supply. The intent is to take the city of Batavia water treatment plant offline completely.
And
So
then everything would be Monroe County water?
everything in the east and in the west central section would be Monroe County water. There would be no more city of Batavia water plant operations. The exact timing of when the city water plant goes offline and ceases to produce water is yet to be determined, because right now, the city is undergoing their own independent evaluation for their services, lead and copper, and Monroe County Water Authority needs to have that along with the State Health Department and the EPA before Monroe County Water Authority water can go into the city
All right.
on a
So
regular
then
basis.
here's the next natural question. We usually lay either 8 or 12 inch line, right?
Correct.
We lay, let's say, we don't know what they're gonna do. We lay 8 or 12 inch line down Randall, and then they come down through with a 36 inch line? Right alongside it?
Or they may pay for us to put the line in at this time like we did before, just so the line's there, possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But chances are that the county will get there first.
Right.
The county doesn't necessarily have to do a district.
Just so you know, ma'am, I think you've asked some questions about that line. Correct me if I'm wrong. You don't need that line for you to get water. There's water, there's Monroe County water
Right.
on the side of the thruway already. So
Right.
just, if that works out for a district, you don't have to worry about that line. That line is the 90% of why that line's gonna come through is, like he explained, it's gonna feed the city of Batavia.
But wherever it is, we
Right,
still.
but he could still do that, but she being where she's at, it's not gonna make it, it's really not gonna make a difference on your determination.
But I was just wondering, like, if there's Stafford, south of Stafford, if that's gonna make a determination also. That's what I was wondering. you understand what I'm saying?
Right, I understand
Because
that.
like Westerbrook Road and those, and if they have to wait because of the county for the water,
I think there's enough pressure over there for us to finish the water district development anyway.
Okay.
Okay, next item, Jim.
So I'm Chuck Malcolm with Hodgson Russ, attorney for the applicants, and this is Tim Bottering from,
Yeah, from both associates, based out of Rochester. So, we're here on behalf of Catalyze Holdings, which is a solar developer, and they have applied for site plan and special use permit application from the town board for solar arrays in GENESEE 5 and GENESEE 6. So this project, as a background, was initially introduced to the town by BW Solar, I believe back in 2021. The two properties, those two tax parcels, are owned by Robert and Michelle Wood, and the address is 8244 Batavia Stafford Town Line Road. And they're proposing 2 solar arrays, 5 megawatts each, AC, on that property. And they're basically going to be co-located on the 2 parcels, take up approximately 62 acres out of the 127 total. And it will include new electrical equipment, some concrete pads for equipment, and a new gravel access drive. In addition, a culvert for stream crossing is also proposed for both projects. So we're submitting this for site plan approval and special use permit. We're going to try to work with the town board for a pilot agreement and the IDA. We're going to seek funding from NYSERDA for solar development. They've already reached out to the State Historic Preservation Office, which has expressed no concerns with the project, similar to when it was initially submitted with BW Solar. We'll work with the Department of Environmental Conservation with the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan, everything that goes into that. A draft copy has been included with the application. With the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, there's approximately like 0.4 acres of wetlands and a stream on site. And Army Corps of Engineers has issued a preliminary jurisdictional determination that they agree with the wetland boundaries that were delineated. And then the applicant has already submitted a wetland permit application for the culvert and assessed the impacts there for about 0.3 acres of impact associated with the access road. We also expect the project will be submitted to the Genesee County Planning Board as part of the General Municipal Law 239M process due to proximity to agricultural district. And then we also note that the project was presented to the Zoning Board of Appeals with the town, I think back in 2021 and 2022, and they did grant some setbacks and some fencing waivers already for BW Solar, which should be transferred. And then the applicants also submitted already a waiver request to the planning board. We've included that with the application as well as a courtesy to the town board. And they will be seeking waivers for the escrow fees as well as the real property value protection clause. Chuck can speak to that if there's any questions about that. His firm was working on that. And then we'll work with the town code enforcement for a building permit when the time comes as well. So included is the letter of intent, the application, project summary, inventory, vicinity map, our site plan sets, the redacted lease options, and then the applicant has also put together an operation and maintenance plan following the town code, also a decommissioning plan which follows the town code. They have signed the solar energy farm indemnification provision, basically that's also in the town code. We've started the seeker process essentially, filled out the part one of the full environmental assessment form, and then we assume the town would potentially be the lead agency for that and do the seeker review process in the parts 2 and 3 of that. And then we've included some of the zoning information and the zoning variances that were granted, also the waiver request. We've also included an agricultural data statement due to the proximity to farm operations that are within agricultural districts within 500 feet of the project, and then a stormwater pollution prevention plan is also included. So that's kind of the high-level overview of the projects. So we've submitted it to the town board for review, and also in parallel to begin the seeker process and what that involves, and any additional information that might be needed for the application.
So, again, I'm Chuck Malcolm, I'm the attorney for the applicant. If I could just kind of talk at a higher level on the procedure and kind of what we would ask the board tonight. Obviously, we submitted a lot of information, and I recognize that, and I think we all recognize that this is going to be a process and that there's going to be a lot of material that obviously the board's going to need to digest and your attorney's going to need to review and digest, and probably some consultant help that you're going to need to involve and review as part of this process as well. But what we're hoping tonight is to kind of kick off the review process, have the town board accept the application and move it forward. Essentially start the seeker process by declaring the town board the lead agency, or evidencing the town board's intent to be the lead agency for purposes of the seeker review, so that we can begin the coordination process, getting the comments of the other agencies so the board can review those. So we would ask that the board do that tonight. Also refer the application to any other boards or bodies for comments as may be necessary. We had a couple of requests in the application, as Tim alluded to, with respect to waivers that we're requesting. Obviously, when we come before the board, one of the things that we want to do is work collaboratively. Obviously, the hard thing to do is to start off the bat saying we want some deviations from what your law says, but in certain aspects we do have to request that. There are a couple of provisions of your law that, not to beat around the bush, that we have issues with the legality of those provisions. One is the escrow account, and I'll give you an example of why we think there's a problem there. Towns have every right under the law to have a plan in place to charge fees for the review of applications to offset the administrative burdens and costs for review of applications, particularly ones that they don't see every day. Okay, that's typical, that's expected, that's allowed. But those fees aren't supposed to be open-ended, they're supposed to be based on studies. And one of the things your code does is it has an application fee, and then you also have this mechanism for an escrow to pay your out-of-pocket costs. So you have this, on the one hand, you're going to pay us a fee, and then on the other hand, you're going to pay our costs. In addition, it's our experience, it's our humble suggestion that the amount of funds that you're seeking in your escrow account is not based on realistic studies or data, based on what it would actually cost the town to review those, that it's out of proportion. And requiring a minimum balance of 150,000 always to be in the account is oppressive and burdensome, particularly that that's required for the life of the project. So we would request a waiver from that. Obviously, we want to work with you. I think, you know, we've had conversations, I've had conversations with the town attorney. I think we would want to have those discussions as part of the waiver process, but we would request a waiver from that requirement. The property value guarantee, you know, plain and simple, there's no basis in law for that requirement.
Sure.
Requiring,
Right down the road.
requiring,
Right down the road.
requiring
Right down the road.
contractual requirements, requiring indemnifications, requiring us to obtain litigation, to shift the burden of litigation costs on us. There's no basis in zoning power for those requirements.
They have it in landfill in Monroe County, right down the road, right down the road, less than 10 miles away.
And landfills are completely different than solar farms.
How many times have they paid it out now?
I'm sorry?
How many times have they had to pay out for what you're talking about?
For landfills?
No, for the landfill for a decrease in property.
I'm not familiar with that particular
It'd be the
landfill.
same thing, that's what the law is, the law would be the same thing. We'll talk about that later. I'm not sure that's a battle we want to fight, because honestly, they've never paid. The property's never decreased.
Well, you're proving my point
But,
by making
but,
that statement.
but they still have it.
They still
have it in the law, just in case properties did.
Just
decrease
because nobody's
of it.
challenged in a legal provision doesn't mean it's
I
not.
don't disagree with that.
That's
I'm just
fine.
saying that that may not be something you wish to, we'll discuss it later, but
Yeah.
just so you know, that we've done some research into this too.
I-
So,
I'm not,
and it
I'm
may
not
not,
gonna question, I'm not gonna question what research you've done.
right,
I'm just gonna say, like, you can look me up, I've done a lot of
I
zoning
don't
in the
disagree
state of
with
New
you.
York.
I don't disagree
You
with
know,
you.
and
so.
I know what municipal zoning authority
Right.
is,
yeah.
and I know what land use powers municipalities have.
Right,
And we already know that in any issue like this, our current town attorney would not be the one you're working. Because
You're free to hire whoever you want.
Yes.
So who are you, when you said you were talking to our town attorney, which attorney have you been talking to?
Well, I've had a conversation with Mark Boylan.
yeah, he's our town attorney.
But he doesn't handle any of our litigation.
He doesn't litigate anything. You talked about, you know, as a board, you're asking now, I'm gonna let you finish, I don't want to.
Well, you guys can ask me whatever you want.
No,
I mean, you guys run the show.
You know, I'd let you finish, because I think we cut you off, and I'm sorry for that, I apologize for that.
No, I mean, you've hit the points. I mean, I've hit the points. Those are the waivers we're requesting.
Okay, those two, though, is what you're.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. But for tonight's action, we would ask that you declare lead agency
Right.
and authorize the town administrative personnel to make the requisite referrals
Mhm.
and coordinate with other involved agencies.
Okay.
And you'll also understand that since the situation you're in, it sounds like you have the assumption that what BW submitted is simply carryover and it's already approved.
So what BW submitted, they submitted on behalf of LLCs as the applicants, and we're the successor to those. So the LLCs are still the applicants.
All right.
Yeah.
So before we do anything, we would like to check with our attorney.
Well, I think that's perfectly fine, but I see no reason to delay the,
And I see
regular
no,
procedural requirements to just move the.
personally, I see no reason to rush it without us asking our attorney.
Absolutely.
I mean, you guys are gonna run the show.
Real quick, just super quick. This is basically just a copy of what happened before, what the previous request was, right? We're not really changing.
I'm gonna defer to Tim on.
We're not really
what's been
changing
any
anything.
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
Pretty similar.
We added in the culvert
Right,
analysis,
okay.
and we've submitted that now to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
It's the same mapping plan, though, that you had before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes it easy. Okay.
I'll just say one other thing, if I could.
Please. Yeah, please.
And don't take this the wrong way.
We're not gonna. We're not gonna.
But I've been to a lot of board meetings,
Mm-hmm.
and, I'm kind of pinch hitting for one of my colleagues tonight, okay? But my understanding, and from reviewing the materials in advance of the meeting, is that this is a specially permitted use in the zoning district where we're proposing the project, right?
Exactly right.
And that means there's been a legislative determination that this is an allowed use in that district.
Exactly right.
So that means this board, at some point, decided solar can go there.
That's part of what the law was written for.
Right.
Exactly.
And so, you know, sometimes there's this feeling that by asking to go where the town board lets you go, that you're doing something wrong. And we don't want to be in that position.
You're not doing anything wrong.
We want to work collaboratively.
Right.
We're, in our view, this is an allowed use. We're coming to the town,
Right.
following the process, and we want to have a good working relationship with the town. That's it.
I just had a standard question. Being an outsider, how does this help the town? How does this help our town?
Well, if anybody wants to use their property for any lawful reason, does that question get asked? Let me just start there. Do you go, well, you want to do something on your property, how does that help me?
I'm looking at, I'm
That's
asking as a
the
solar
first-
farm,
That's the first question, right?
first solar farm, how does it benefit us?
A landowner wants to use his property for a lawful use to gain revenue. That's where we start. We believe in property rights in this country, right? Do we need to go any farther?
So the landowner wants to make out.
Do we need to go farther? If we do,
It doesn't benefit
I
all the
mean, I
rest
could
of
talk
us.
about clean energy, I could talk about tax revenues, I could talk about a host community benefit agreement, I could talk about things.
Yeah.
But do we need to go farther than a property owner wants to use his property for a lawful use?
Not everybody puts up a solar farm, okay?
No, not everybody does. Some people do a lot of other stuff. Some people put up a landfill. Some people put up a factory.
Especially when they look like the one in Patchman. Oh, that looks awful.
Well, that's what these fine public servants are here to do, make sure we do a good job.
Is any of the, as I drive around the county, I see those things hidden in every corner you can see back in the woods over. Has anybody other than the landowner benefited from those things yet?
Right.
Well,
Other than the landowner?
host community agreements, pilot agreements, tax revenues. You can, as a utility customer, you can subscribe to these projects, get a discount on your electricity bill. Now, you may say that's not enough. You know, it's not enough. I don't want to look at it. There's lots of different perspectives.
Correct.
But there are benefits to the community for these projects. There
Are
are.
they required to keep them looking decent?
There are all sorts of requirements. There are screening requirements. And Tim could probably speak to this better than I can.
I've seen
but yes,
some,
there are.
they got weeds growing up in them and they look disastrous.
Dead trees.
Well, I can't speak to every project out there, but I do know that there's an operation and maintenance plan that we prepare as part of the application. They're required to be kept up. There's an obligation to do so. There's vegetative maintenance. There's screening requirements. All those things are part of the application and the review process that we're going through right now.
Well, a renter's supposed to keep a house up in good shape, but he doesn't always do it.
Well, there are enforcement mechanisms when that doesn't happen. And you could say, well, you know,
Yeah, we have one
sometimes
across the
people don't
street.
follow the law. I mean, is that a reason to say no to somebody who wants to use their property in a way that's allowed under
We
the
gotta
law?
decide what.
I'm just trying to find the benefits to these things. Now, here's a picture of over at Five Corners with that's acres and acres of covered with snow. Did they work good, covered with 6 inches of snow? They were covered with snow for 4 or 5 days.
No. I don't know.
The last one was.
Yes, I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
Work headlines, is there worth?
Oh, yeah, there
All
was
they're doing is
Texas.
landowner.
Texas, yeah.
How long you been with them?
I don't work for Catalyze, I work for LaBella Associates. I'm based in Rochester.
Gary, I think we all
I'm doing
agree
something wrong
that
again. I said, you're starting to make me
You
feel
what?
like I'm doing something wrong again.
let him finish.
I won't go where I'm thinking.
Okay.
Gary, I think we all agree, and that's why we have the law we have, is that the Five Corners example is not what we want. As far as proximity, as far as screening, everything is a mess. So,
I think I'll ask the board at this point, if you would, exactly what you asked us to do tonight, if you could send Mark that, either, I don't care, letter or email.
well, I'll just copy Mark.
Yeah, and then copy Mark in, and if you tell him exactly what you're looking for the board, he can give us some guidance on it, and then we'll start from there. Is that fair enough?
Fair enough.
Okay. And then,
What's the name of the solar company again?
Catalyze Holdings LLC.
Can we get copies that you gave the board?
Presumably, yeah, we also sent a digital copy to our town clerk.
Mark's got a digital copy.
Oh, okay.
if you would, then
Yeah,
we'll proceed, the way we can proceed from there, and don't cue us all. And then,
and who's the point of contact? Would it be Barb? For that?
yeah, then you can disperse it, Barb, if you would,
Yeah.
and Barb can disperse it to us.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You met with Gene Sinclair.
Yeah, that was Gina. That's
You
Gina.
haven't been part of that at all?
Yeah.
Don, you haven't been part of that at all yet? Okay. Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I've talked to him on a few occasions.
Okay, good.
Now, it is likely we would have to use a contract engineer unless Steve Mountain
Yeah.
is normally the one we use for these big projects, so.
He's done a few with Batavia.
Right.
Yeah, I've worked with Steve.
Yeah. Okay.
Good.
Good.
Okay.
And you realize that we don't invest any of our money into that. That's for you guys to pay.
Let's have a conversation about that.
Okay.
We will not spend our money on it.
Let me just say, like, I think, and I have to confer with my client, but I think we can come to some sort of arrangement, but the wording in your code is fairly oppressive. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. So,
Although
I mean, it's,
our code is close to identical to our planned unit development code, with
Has
the
anybody
same
done-
type of retainers, and they haven't flinched to doing it. So I guess it depends what side you're looking from.
I guess it does.
Yeah, thank you.
You're absolutely right on that.
Yeah, so we'll get with Mark, and Mark, it would just be a process, we'll want a little bit better at it. So,
Okay.
Because I guarantee you, if I was Tony Cole down there and we gave him the same exact requirement.
okay,
Yeah.
Every project is different.
yeah. Yes.
Basically,
Anything else for that? Can you think of anything else we should?
No, use the letter for a kickoff.
Yeah, use the letter for the kickoff to Mark, and Mark.
Find out Steve's, could you and, Gene find out Steve's availability?
Yeah, we can. I put the application on Gene's desk. I'll leave him a note.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay? Sure.
We'll get involved.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Look forward to working with you.
Anything further on number 9 in our agenda?
Hey, board, am I speaking now?
John's got a question.
I would tread very carefully on the comment he made about the town spending our money, and let's talk about it. Because if he's saying a landowner has the right to do what he wants on his property, why should the town put any money toward that owner making money?
Will be part of our conversation.
Yeah, but I'm lifting that up, so it's on the.
Right.
Will be part of our conversation.
Why make any promises here?
It'll be part of the conversation. His biggest concern. That's what he doesn't want. He'll pay for everything, but he doesn't want us.
Thanks a lot.
Did you want, since they're just extra here, did you want a copy of the little bit of research I did here in Bethany? It's good reading, because then I just don't think people realize how dependent we are on those things.
No, I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, because I can always represent it.
All the time that you work
With the state.
30-some years.
I don't think we ever answered
USDA, I think the currently the farm bill is 2 or 3 the federal government.
I wish it was easier, but being in this position, you want to do it. No.
Just when you figure out the setup, changes.
Just when you think it's going to work, so they show.
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go.
Great, thank you.
Let's go.
All right. In answer to your question about, no, you're asking about taxation. The two choices are, is there's a state-developed formula if you want to tax a solar farm directly. And that's based on the income, and it's based on the discounted cash flow of the income from the farm. That mandate, it's not like where you put up your house and you look at the value of the house and we tax it according to the value of the house. They're treating it like a utility, and they have a set formula where the value of the panels has nothing to do with it. Or you can do a pilot, which is negotiated with the County Economic Development Agency and NYSERDA, which again is a state agency. The state has a goal of so much solar power. So all of those formulas are not conducive. Let's put it this way. This is not going to be a tax rate change from what we can see.
Okay.
So again, it's, we have to zone them, and that's how we zone them. But as far as the tax basis, no, the state has got us from one direction to the other.
In essence, it's really the only place in the town that it can be, that we can actually get the zone for commercial.
Unless it goes over 20 megawatts.
The state jumps in and they take over, and we have no say at all.
As far as property value, would this be considered commercial or?
No, we have zoned it industrial.
Industrial? What's more, industrial or ag? You know, as far as per acre? Industrial. Industrial?
Yeah, you're getting into a question for Lori.
Yeah, but
It seems it should be.
Ag industrial, so
Ag is exempted right down where
the value is very low.
Well, I
it's
know.
the value of the crop coming off of it.
If you have a soil, you know, it's a high number, and that's definitely a soil over there.
But it is zoned industrial. And you know, there's a degree of logic to that. Where you have industrial property, you normally have industrial power. And that's what, let's face it, they're not building any special lines. They just show up where there's room on the lines. That's why they're, Byron, you've got the big high tension lines there, well, there's access to lines.
Is that one on French Road on us?
No.
Batavia.
That's
Batavia.
Batavia.
It's down Batavia.
So Stafford stops on the top of the road?
Right in Fox Road, Stafford's on one side of the road, Batavia's on the opposite side.
Oh, really? So once you turn the corner?
Yep, that's Stafford.
And during that time, they had basically nothing for controls.
So it's gonna look like
I don't know, I hope not for the people that live there.
I know, I feel bad for those people. See, that's the worst one I've seen anywhere, as far as upkeep and management.
But for the small ones, we've zoned them industrial, and that is industrial property. Around the quarry is industrial property.
How long ago was that zoned industrial? Quite a while, or
Quite a while.
Long.
have they been paying industrial rates
Not till
on
it's
taxes?
converted.
Not till it's,
Oh, not
you
until it's
have an
actually
industrial
converted?
application in.
I had a conversation with an engineer once about the line out here in front, and he said that it's not big enough to handle the output of a solar farm, and that's this one. This is three-phase out here. All right, to be continued.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, come on, you didn't think this was gonna just fall.
Resolution number 55, dated December 11th. Approval for training of newly elected official. Whereas Gerry Young has been duly elected to the position of councilman, and whereas training is available for newly elected officials by the Association of Towns in Rochester, New York on January 10th through 12th, 2024, at a cost of $200. And therefore be it resolved that Terry Young will attend training for newly elected officials being offered by the Association of Towns, January 10th through 12th, 2024, at a cost of $200.
All offered, so be it.
Second, Terry, you already got the dates, you submitted this, right?
All right.
Second.
Okay, who did that? Ed?
Ed, me.
Okay, Councilman Panic,
Yes.
Councilman Sharan,
Yes.
Councilman Deason,
Yes.
Supervisor Clement.
Yes.
It's gotta be the cheapest training we've signed up for yet.
Probably.
And we paid for that.
We'll see what we deliver.
Resolution 56, dated December 11th, budget amendments for 2024. Whereas the town of Stafford needs to amend the budget for 2024, and whereas the lines involved are SW 9710.712 will be reduced to $45,204.75 from $45,327, and SW 101L will be reduced to $46,204.75 from $46,327, and therefore SW 9710.712 will be $45,204.75, and SW 101L will be $46,204.75. Motion by,
What's that actually for?
Yeah, what's all that about?
All your little codes?
it's items in the budget.
What item?
Special water district.
Special water district?
The
There's,
water district.
That's from the
Okay.
water district.
Okay,
That's our interest, isn't it, Matt?
So moved.
Isn't that our interest payment?
That's the water district 12 budget, yeah.
Right, that's what we budgeted for. That's from Water District 4, that we had to add extra money for.
Okay, Jimmy made that, a second?
No, he's first. And a second.
Okay, I got you now. Who's second?
Nobody.
Okay.
Second.
All right.
Okay. Councilman Pianic?
Yes.
Councilman Shan?
Yes.
Councilman Deason?
Yes.
Supervisor Clement?
Yes.
I know it's in my package.
Let's go with this over here, okay.
No.
Resolution 57, adoption of tax levy for 2024. Whereas the tax levy for 2023 was $1.24 per thousand, and proposed tax levy for 2024 is $1.48 per thousand. And therefore, the town board of the town of Stafford adopts the tax levy of $1.48 per thousand. Motion by,
So moved.
I'll second that.
I have a question on that.
Yep.
Last meeting, it was said that, I took this from the minutes, that it was explained the increase was necessary for the rising cost overall for Water District 12 fees, and it must be paid now before the grants are in place. When we receive the money, when the grants are funded back to us.
Yes.
So is that next year, our taxes will go back down to the 124?
No, because I'll explain it to you. 2021, we received the shared tax revenue from the county at about $750,000, $760,000. This year, 2024, we're anticipating to get $600,000 from them. We used to share some tax revenue with the court here. The court in 2021, I think, was $145,000. We're anticipating this year it'll only be $100,000. We are down in the last 3 years of almost $180,000 to $190,000 of tax revenue from that share, from the courts as well as the county. There's no place to make that up.
Okay, well,
7 to
Ron
9% of that money is what we, or 7 to 9% of everything we buy since 2021 has increased. 7 to 19%, I should say.
But
has
Ron
increased.
said that
That's
several
what,
times.
That's what we did it this year for. But
Okay.
we'll need that for next year because our revenue is lost. We've lost like 180,000, 190,000 in the last 3 years that we haven't had to make up. We've tried to keep taxes in check. We've actually raised only $120,000 in taxes since then. So there's about a $60,000 to $70,000 tax that we're losing in revenue that we haven't made up. We've been eating into our savings for that. We have no revenue to work with. So the future is, like other towns are doing, and if you pay attention to Batavia, I know, Pembroke argued about it too with the county that we're losing tax revenue. Hawaiian just doubled their their property taxes for town tax because of the same thing. So what we're trying to do is incrementally go up slowly, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8% at a time. But this was a hit for us because if we took that $50,000 out of the budget now, come around, we would have no capital to work with coming into next year, no savings at all. So what would that bring us to? There would be no money to work with. Next year, when we come around, next year we'd have about $30,000 in the bank with the town moving along without an emergency. An emergency would put us over. So we need that revenue back into the bank, so we have a bank account next year for that extra 50 to work with. That's what we need it for.
Okay, but in past meetings, when asked about this money, the American Rescue Plan money, the $260,000 we got, Ron said that was, we were putting that in the general fund to use that because we were done with the courts.
No, we paid for the court for that year.
Right, okay.
Right. It costs $165,000 a year to run the court.
What's the revenue lost in the court?
The court last year, in 2021, as an example, we had 145. We're anticipating 100 this year.
So that's a third.
Yeah.
And it used to be more
We
like
used to be,
250.
right, we used to be around the 300,000 mark years ago.
That's how we built this place.
So we have a cut there, hey.
No, because,
Increase there, maybe.
well, this is the thing. It's not that the enforcement part has gone down. It's that the revenue that the state requires people to pay has gone down. So what you've really done is you've increased the administrative responsibilities at this level, is what you did. And they basically have become full-time bill collectors.
You've asked the court if they've received less tickets this year than last year?
So far as of September, because I did the research on it, we were at about the 1,900. So for the thruway towns of Leroy, Stafford, Batavia, and Pembroke, we were actually leading. We were the leaders of it. But it isn't volume, it's the people that are required to pay. Because that box right there, if you'll see that black box, was bought to put the traffic tickets in that aren't paid for.
Well, I know that.
We've talked about it at a bunch of meetings. Part of bail reform changed whether a person's license could be suspended for not paying tickets. That's no longer the case. So we no longer have that to hold ahead of them. Plus, we have to offer them to do it on payment. So then we have to administrate that. Our judges now, you basically have two levels of judges in Genesee County. You have the ones that are along the thruway that have a very active court, and our judges are the least paid of the thruway judges. Their staff is about average.
What about our clerks?
Our court clerks are the same way. We are about the third, out of the four, we're the third cheapest ones. So, and Leroy, having said that, Leroy is going to make some changes there. They may pay for, and that's in comparison of our 2024 numbers to their 2023 numbers. I don't know what their 2024 numbers. I was comparing our 2024 numbers to what they did in 2023 because I didn't know what the towns were going to do yet. So we were the third cheapest.
But again, talking about it before the meeting, look at, it's in the news now. They're going to automated speed monitor. Now, if they go to that,
we'll be out of it total.
What happens to our
out of business?
Our revenue totally will be done.
And we're obligated. We're obligated to have a court.
Well, yeah, you got civil cases, you got all kinds of.
We're just not have
the convenience of having the thruway run through our town and having tickets issued there
for years
has been good. And if you look at the town tax rates for towns that are our size but don't have that, they're significantly higher. And then the worst case is Genesee County does not have to share revenue with us.
They do still, but not much. It's reduced every year. So.
And the worst case of that is if you look at Orleans County. So I pay $1.48 on my house here in Stafford. My brother and I still own the family farm in Barry. Town tax rate is $11.08. And if you think county goes down to reciprocate, yeah, it does to a degree. But when you add the two together, it's significantly above.
Stafford's always had decent taxes for the people.
And we try to keep it that way. I mean, you came to the budget meetings, you saw what we tried to do.
Gary, could you say that again?
That we've done, like I said,
way before you were here. No, but I have one question though. That extra couple $100,000 you gave the firemen didn't have any effect on that budget this year, did it? Or last year?
No.
Oh, where'd that money come from then?
And they haven't changed their
they have
request
their own
for
tax
3
rate.
years.
We have a tax rate spot different from them.
That's gotta change.
We're looking for.
Let them start working and make some money, like everybody else is.
They don't do that.
Well, then, you know what I would do? You cut their money out, they will do something.
Yeah.
Cut their money down a little bit, you'll see them do something.
Eventually to keep.
You know, that's ridiculous. You're paying a private corporation over there to buy equipment so that you can rent it from them. That don't make sense to me.
Okay, we need a roll call vote.
Okay.
Councilman
That's a
Bennett?
private company, that's a incorporated company.
And we're required to
Have a fire department.
have a service like that.
We're back to the.
You know, I gotta look into that law.
Back to the tax levy.
There
All
was.
right,
We got a motion and a second roll call.
Councilman Bennett?
yes.
Councilman Sherrill?
Yes.
Councilman Deason?
Yes.
Councilman, or Supervisor Clement?
Yeah. Pass, 4-0. Resolution 58. Approval of all reports from Water District 12 for December 2023. Whereas the town of Stafford has received Form E and Form E draft Exhibit K, parenthesis, an amendment to the agreement between the owner and engineer for professional services dated July 13th, 2020, and other paperwork associated with District 12. And whereas the town of Stafford accepts the reports given, and therefore the town of Stafford accepts the Form E and Form E draft, Exhibit K, and other paperwork associated with Water District 12.
Right, they're still well in budget, is what they reported, so.
Motion to approve this.
So move.
You want to start?
I'll second.
Second. No, I'm sorry, I was just simply saying that they're well within budget. They're basically accepting their report.
Motion by Councilman Deason, second by Councilman Sherrill. Roll call.
You want roll call?
Yeah.
Councilman Bennett?
Yes.
Councilman Sherrill?
Yes.
Councilman Deason? Supervisor Clement?
Yes. Passed 4-0. We have one. Let's see, that's now we got 59. Resolution urging Governor Hochul to veto A04282B/S.3505B. You want me to read it all here,
Or we can paraphrase it. Basically, they're looking to change local elections. We've always had for state and local were an even number of years. Local elections were an odd number of years. They want to change everything to even, I believe. Well, no, you
The
can't.
town supervisor will be elected the exact same year as the governor. So every time there's a governor's election, the town supervisor will have to be elected.
No, and it's not 100%, so it's
Well,
not.
not right away, it will be, because there'll have to be a 2-year run for some report for some.
No. If you read the entire resolution, there are certain offices that aren't gonna
Right.
run that way. So you don't even get the savings
Right.
of the, of having no election in the odds.
Right.
Because you still have
Still have
things
to have
in
it
the
for
odds.
your assembly.
So you're gonna be paying out the same amount of money,
Right.
but you'll get your local elections buried into your state and
Yeah.
federal elections.
And then
I think didn't they have, is
all
this the same
supervisors
as the
are gonna be
write-up
moved to the same year as the
Yes.
governor.
that they sent out?
I believe so.
Okay.
And it wasn't passed
It's
before.
We all know what that's for, and it's nothing with an R next year. So,
Failed, letter of support. There's a motion.
Because they said, I read all through the email, and it did say that not all elections would be,
I think it's
would
just
be moved.
the supervisors
No.
only. The supervisors, all town supervisors would have to be voted on at the same time as the governor, same year as the governor.
It works for us now, just don't.
And this one.
All right.
So yes, the.
Actually, there's some pretty good sections here. You want me to read it?
No.
You know what, it'll be easier to read it than get the
No.
question.
We don't get
Does
sniped.
anybody have any questions? Do you want to read it?
No.
All right.
We'll be sleeping.
So basically, this resolution says, please veto it because it makes things worse. All right, I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
The state again helps us.
Okay, a roll call vote, Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
Shram,
Yes.
Deason,
Yes.
Supervisor Clement.
Yes. Yes, 4-0. Okay. Next is Cathy.
To speed this along, everything that I asked for in this email, you guys all got it? If you just want to email it to me, because it's just on Water District 12, that would speed up the meeting. But is that okay? You want to just
It's
email
actually
me?
pretty fast. We can, they're all quick answers.
Do you have a form? If you have a copy of it, you can just give me.
I can read it pretty fast. Water District 12, that's why I made the point. What's the contractual completion? Substantial completion is 8.5. Final completion before they're out of contract is 10/4/24. Amount of loan and interest rate, rural development has a loan commitment of $1,353,000 at an interest rate of 1.375%. Grant amount and from who? Rural development grant was $1,639,000. Water infrastructure or WIA grant is $1,065,000, and Genesee County $416,200. Amount added to my taxes, when, what year, we kind of discussed it while I was here. 504.97 per unit will be added to 224 taxes. Amount paid the engineering firm, as of 11/15, $292,150 out of a $325,000 contract. Amount to pay Sergi, $2,302,190,064, and that's still within budget. Amount paid to Municipal Solutions for fiscal services, grant applications, grant administration, ban issuance, R&D loan closings. As of 11/15, there are 34,376 out of 56,900 contract. Amount paid out by the town under what special districts? A fund is paid $124,092 currently, that when the grant funds are approved by rural development will be reimbursed back to the A fund. Every month the general fund pays the invoices due for the projects and then requests reimbursement from the grant. Any other income and expenses not listed above. Funding sources are at the top of Form E and were explained in the above already. Do we have a Form E? Yeah. So that's available.
Then
Want
two
a
other
copy?
questions since, yeah, that'd be great.
There we go.
So then, a couple months ago, we had asked about the house across the street, and they said it was in a process. Where's that process going? Are we any further along?
Have they responded yet to our?
They have not responded. It's a work in progress. Yeah, it's not being ignored, I can say that.
Okay.
It's a process.
It takes time on those processes, more than you think it does.
Yeah, it is.
You gotta have somebody that's willing to respond to it positively, and you don't.
Okay, And then with the whole little solar thing tonight, when did they contact the town? Because I know we asked a couple months ago, and you
Just
had
this
not,
last couple of weeks.
just these last
Since,
couple
yeah,
weeks.
Since the last meeting, yeah.
So I guess I really have a huge request. When the agenda is done like this, and it says LaBella, couldn't you put on what these people want to talk about?
It's
Couldn't you
LaBella.
just couldn't you just put like solar issue? Because I think you'd had probably a few more people here.
Yeah, but it's just LaBella, I mean, it's just, that's who they are, I mean, that's just, we don't really even need that, Kathy, to be honest with you. We just do that for the convenience of something to follow along, and that's all.
I
it
got
is.
it in mind.
Yeah.
I just think that if solar is coming back to the town, we should have been aware that somebody here was gonna be. Well, we're aware now, but.
All it is, in tonight's meeting was nothing more than they introduced themselves, that was all it was. So the process that we had before with the last ones, we're at the beginning of that process.
All over again.
So,
I'm not even sure if it's the same people that, the ones that called and then called me. You remember it was, about 4 months ago?
Yeah, you said you didn't know who they were.
And they were supposed to electronically send me their card,
Mhm.
and then they didn't. They very well could be the same people. I mean, if you look at what we did, we had a study group. They weren't in favor of it, but you gotta zone them some way. There is a logic to zoning them industrial. Oh, I think you can see we disagree on whether our value protection plan, they don't like it, we do.
And they don't like to give us money ahead of time, I'm assuming. That's what they don't want either.
Yep. But that they are, and the attorney emphasized that they are asking to build something that's zoned for that area.
Why was that zoned industrial? I mean,
Wasn't it?
it's middle of the country.
Not really, it's right across from GCC.
I live right there, I know. It's GCC is up on the hill.
It's right on the hill, and I
GCC's
believe,
not industrial.
and I believe at the time, the state had launched a program where they wanted to develop industries in conjunction with community colleges.
They get it off the walls.
Yep.
They're looking at the dorms in there.
The kids gotta sit there and look at those damn.
Yeah, I wonder how that'll,
Glass, that's all it is.
wonder how the parents will like to pay that tuition for your kid to be near a solar farm for 4 years.
is that all you had, Jeff? Was that just that? You know?
That's it, I'm done.
Gerry Wood?
I got some photos for you of my neighborhood. Just take a look at them, pass them around. I'm wondering also what's going on with our town and what we're going after. I noticed in our budget, we didn't up our attorney fees any to go after these people that are hoarders and that just keep trash on our property.
Oh, these aren't one copy each.
No, it's just one set of photos for everyone to kind of pass around and look at.
Why don't we start them down here?
The house next to me's got 9 unregistered vehicles in their driveway, their lawn. 2 of them are on my property. And
why didn't you do something about it back when you were zoning?
I tried, and the board told me they didn't have the money.
That's bull crap. We told you that then.
But I don't think you were here, Ed.
But we've had that discussion before.
I think you're new zoning officer.
But we've had that discussion before, you and I had that discussion.
Right.
And I told you, don't worry about that. Didn't I tell you not to worry about that?
In that packet, there's an email, okay, that came from my office that I started, okay? We started this back, let's see, February 25th is when she received the complaint.
From February 25th of what?
Of 23.
That you received a complaint to?
Not that I received the complaint, but Jean Atkinson received the complaint.
So Jean had it.
Jean Appis, that's the lady that lives next to me.
So she complained to who?
I complained about her, yeah, when I was on working here, okay? That was the process, we started to get this in court with Montillo and all that, and then I was like, oh, so I'm just wondering where we are on this.
We'll pass that to our needs.
So he,
zoning laws.
he texted me this week with the complaint and the pictures.
Okay.
I told him I'd start looking into it when I came in Wednesday night. I'm looking into it.
Okay.
I have a few comments I'd like to make. Number one is, this is no different than when he was zoning officer, and why is it now falling on my lap when he could have took care of it on his time? Number two.
No, let's go back to your dad then.
No,
Your dad was this.
My dad has nothing to do with this. I'm not my dad. I'm not my dad.
I'm not you.
So, and then the other thing is, I get complaints, right? So, based on the time I have to work on them, I have to prioritize them. What's important, right? Public safety, safety of residents, safety of neighbors, and I know we have one right now in the works for the corner up there. So I have to prioritize, and that's what you pay me to do. So, am I wrong in that?
No.
No.
So this is not your priority, is what you're telling me?
It's not number one or two, and I'm not afraid to say that. But
It's a big difference between having, what do they call it, an attractive nuisance in the middle of town. And I'm not saying necessarily that one, but if you had one, that's gonna take priority over some guy having 3 cars that he's building into one in his driveway. Now, I'm not saying that this is that one either, but yeah, you have to go by priorities. Risk to public first, risk to the people that, well, actually risk to the people that are there and risk to responders. And then risk to land and property. And then you go after the offenders. Now, should we be at the point where we've got them caught up? No, we're not there yet.
no. It's, there's a lot of, no, I shouldn't say that. There's a few that I'm currently investigating that have been out there for a long time.
Yeah.
That I'm just getting into because this job wasn't done correctly in the past. I'm not going to mention names, but it was not done correctly, and there's a lot on my plate because of that. So again, I have to prioritize, right, with the time I have.
But you're aware of it now?
I'm aware of it.
Okay.
Yeah, and one last thing, and I know I don't have to justify it to you, but I think it needs to be said, is until I finish my training, there's only so much I can do.
Yeah.
I've got my first 3 classes done.
Now, does this fall under our zoning law or fall under the building code, property maintenance?
Which I have just completed my property maintenance class, but that doesn't mean I have my certificate.
Right.
Right.
So I have to be very careful.
We want you to work towards that goal to start with.
You can't do any of that till he finishes class.
Right, so that's what we'll do, is we're gonna have you work towards that goal to finish your classes.
That's right.
And then you'll be well aware of these because you've done a lot of.
But when that time comes, I'm gonna be well versed as to
exactly
where we stand, correct?
Exactly.
And that's exactly what I'm doing.
So once you
right now.
become certified, then you can start to take action on it because you already know about it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's
So
fine.
we should have Jean here then.
I'll pass it along to Gene.
Yeah,
I've already talked to Jean about it.
okay, good.
You know,
So,
And both of them are well
I'll
aware.
ask that he be here at next month's meeting.
But on another note, back to what was said, I do recall several times being told that we did not have enough lawyers' fees to take people to court over code and zoning. So has that changed? So I see we still have 18,000.
We have 18,000 in the budget for this year.
Yeah, well, that's gonna be gone in 3 court things with Pontillo.
He was told to send letters out. He did not do that.
Oh, I
did.
agree.
I did.
You told me you didn't, is you didn't want to go after him. And I could understand.
I never
that
told
because-
you that. I've said, I've sent them letters several times. And you as a board said you didn't want to spend the money on the lawyer to fight it. That's why Pontillo sat in limbo, and our judge had to contact you guys to get that in the court. That's true.
This is why the board simply should deal with the priorities of our enforcement officers and not get into each individual case and politicize it. So, and as far as Pontillo goes, we've been waiting 8 years for engineer drawings for that. We even sent an engineer in to confirm we need engineered drawings for what he wants to do. Matter of fact, if you look at most of our scofflaws, it's either junk or it's engineered drawings. Am I saying anything out of?
So that's why he's shut down, because he hasn't given you engineered drawings?
Yeah.
Because we've never known that. We always just,
It was.
do not work order.
Actually, it was in the article you posted on your site.
Right, engineer. Well, we had one engineer that said it was a sound building, so.
And at the time it was. He just simply had to submit his drawings. We're still waiting. At what cost? It's not like it's not like we even have the power to waive that. That's a state code.
Right. Oh, I agree.
So instead, we're gonna spend lawyers' fees.
So, we're talking about lawyers' fees, okay? With the town's permission, right, I'm gonna have the ability to go after people in court. It's not gonna take a lawyer unless it goes beyond the fining part, in which case we need a lawyer, but I can take these people to court.
Okay, because I
Once
know
I'm
the past
certified.
ones didn't want to, so I understood that.
Well, and the other thing is we don't want you, if paperwork has to be delivered, take it through court and have the sheriff deliver.
Yeah, and that's what they recommend for us.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mhm. So, I'm learning a lot.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'll pass it on to Gene.
All right.
I'll see him Wednesday night.
That's the end of the agenda.
Um,
I'm good.
Hey,
You good?
They paid those? They paid those?
Anybody have anything?
No, covered it all.
Thanks, Ed. Sure.
Thank you.
He's still on.
Send me a text.
We done?
You just gotta do the vote. Do we need an executive session for, who we should use for litigation?
Yeah, the bills. Pay the bills first and we'll go with that.
Make a motion to pay general fund number 12, amount of $22,649.80.
Second?
Second.
I'll let you guys know.
That's right, this is your last meeting.
Thank you.
We're gonna miss you, man.
Yeah, okay.
We're gonna miss this like a sore hammer.
Don't forget to get sworn in before the next meeting.
At the meeting. Yeah, that'll be perfect.
Oh, good.
All in favor,
I'll bring my
say
key.
aye. Opposed?
Thank you. You got it. You got it. Thanks, Butch.
Make a motion to pay highway number 12, the amount of $18,026.10.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Make a motion to pay water fund number 12 for $23,334.23.
Second?
Second.
Motion by, say, water 12, $1,334.23. All in favor, say
Aye. Make a motion to pay capital projects number 12, the amount of $174,961.93. That's all for Water District 12.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
You said pavilion's going up?
Double. Just about
Did they issue the county listing yet? I looked this morning and I haven't seen it.
They said it would be, I forgot what they said it would go down.
Need a motion to close the regular meeting at 9:50.
9:50.
So moved.
Second.
Second. And at the
Take a
same-
5-minute recess and then we'll go into executive
And at
session.
the same time, we'll go into executive session.
We'll take a 2-minute recess.
2 minute recess?
2-minute recess.
All right.
And then we'll go to a voice.